Wrong refuges. To many refugees men barely betake themselves when peril makes feared. To hills and the woods, to gardens and trees and shrines. Nay, the refuge on heaven is nay. Refuge is not supreme, not when the refuge has come. Is he from every ill set free? Whoso has to go refuge gone of Buddha, Dharma, and the church of four worthy truths by fighting wisdom sees. Ill and genesis of ills, and what transcending it is of ill and worthy of eightfold, that goes to the surmounting ill. Elo, this refuge a low heaven is low. This is refuge supreme. To this refuge when come is he from every ill set free. Beings are who are reborn among humans beings because they have not seen the Four Noble Truths. The Blessed One took up a little of his soil in his fingernail and addressed the bhikkhus thus. What do you think, bhikkhus? Which is more, the little bit of soil on my fingernail or the great earth? Venerable sir, the great earth is more. The little bit of soil that the Blessed One has taken up in his fingernail is trifling compared to the great earth. The little bit of soil is not calculable, does not bear comparison, does not amount even to a fraction. So too, bhikkhus, those beings are few who are reborn among humans. But those beings are more numerous who are born elsewhere than among human beings. For what reason? Because, bhikkhus, they have not seen the Four Noble Paths. What for? The noble truth of suffering, the noble truth of origin of suffering, the noble truth of cessation of suffering, the noble truth of way leading to cessation of suffering. Therefore, bhikkhus, an exertion should be made to understand this is suffering. An exertion should be made to understand this is the origin of suffering. An exertion should be made to understand this is the cessation of suffering. An exertion should be made to understand this is the way leading to cessation of suffering. Noble truth is not impossible to know. The noble ones are plenty. There are not only 100 vacha, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 500, but far more bhikkhus, my disciples, who by realizing for themselves, with direct knowledge, here and now enter upon the abide in the deliverance of mind and deliverance by wisdom that are taintless, with the destruction of taints. There are not only 100 vaka, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 500, but far more bhikkhus, my disciples, who by realizing for themselves, with direct knowledge here and now enter upon abide in the deliverance of mind and deliverance by wisdom that are taintless, with the destruction of all of the taints. There are not only 100 vacha, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 500, but far more men lay followers, my disciples, clothed in white leading lives of celibacy, who with the destruction of their 5 lower fetters will reappear spontaneously in the pure abodes, and there attain final nirvana without ever returning from that world. There are not only 100 vacha, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 500, but far more men lay followers, my disciples, clothed in white, enjoy essential pleasures, who carry out my instruction and respond to my advice, have gone beyond doubt, become free from perplexity, gain independence, and become independent of the others in the teaching desperation. There are not only 100 vacha, 200 or 300 or 400 or 500 vacha, but far more women lay followers, my disciples, clothed in white, leading lives of celibacy, who, with the destruction of the 5 lower fetters, will reappear spontaneously in the pure abodes. and attaining final nirvana without ever returning from that world. There are not only 100 Vacha, 200 or 300 or 400 or 500 Vacha, but far more women lay followers, my disciples clothed in white enjoying sensual pleasures, who carry out my instruction, respond to my advice, have gone beyond doubt, become free of perplexity, gained independence, and become independent of those others in the teacher's depression. With the Dharma and yourselves as your refuge, but I have not already declared, Amada, that we must be parted, separated and served from all who are dear and agreeable to us. How, Amada? It is to be obtained here. May what is born come to be, conditioned and subject to discretion, not discretion, that's impossible. It is just as if the largest branch would break off a tree, standing possessed of a heartwood, so too, Anada, is the great Bhikkhu Sakha, standing possessed of the heartwood Tirutapan, has attained final nirvana. How, Amada, is it to be attained here? May what is born come to be, conditioned and subject to discretion, not discretion, that is impossible. Therefore, Anada, dwell with yourselves as your own island, with yourselves as your own refuge, with no other's refuge. Dwell with the Dharma as your island, with the Dharma as your refuge, with no other refuge. And now, Amada, does a bhikkhu dwell with himself as his own island, with himself as his own refuge, with no other refuge, with the Dharma as his island, with the Dharma as his refuge, with no other refuge. Here, Anada, a bhikkhu dwells contemplating the body, in the body. Anada, the clearly comprehending mindfulness, having recovered convenience and displeasure regarded to the world. He dwells contemplating feelings in feelings, mind in mind, phenomena in phenomena. Ardent, clearly comprehending mindfulness, having removed covetousness and displeasure in regard to the world. Those bhikkhus, Anada, either now or after I'm gone, who dwell with themselves as their own islands, with themselves as their own, the Dharma as their island, with the Dharma as their refuge, with no other refuge, it is these bhikkhus. Anada, who will be the for me topmost of those keen on the training. And the twigs and leaves thus while needing hurtwood, seeking hurtwood, wandering in search of hurtwood, he came to a great tree, standing possessed of hurtwood, and cutting off its only hurtwood. He took it away, knowing it was hurtwood. Whatever this was, good man had to make with hurtwood, his purpose will be served.